As Laura said, my name is Christine Zellers, and I'm the Educator Assistant Professor in Cape May County for Rutgers Cooperative Extension. And let me just start sharing my screen here so everybody can see the presentation. Okay, that's good. Can you see that, Laura? Everybody can see?
Yes.
All right, great. Thank you. So as I said, my name is Chris Zellers, and I am wanted to explain a little bit about Rutgers Cooperative Extension for those of you that might not know. Rutgers Cooperative Extension is a partnership between the County Boards of Chosen Freeholders, Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey, and USDA's National Institute of Food and Agriculture. We actually have faculty or staff in 20 of the 21 New Jersey counties, and we're composed of 3 departments, which include Agriculture and Natural Resources, 4-H Youth Development, and Family and Community Health Sciences, or FCHS, which is the department that I work for. And at FCHS, we provide outreach in New Jersey and beyond on topics related to nutrition, chronic disease prevention, food safety, and overall wellness. In Warren County, as I'm sure some of you may know, Sherry Sereno is the county agent professor of FCHS. So she is my counterpart in Warren County. And I'm going to give her contact information at the end. So if anybody ever wants to reach out to her for anything, you'll have that. I'd like to welcome you all to the secret to a good night's sleep. But before I begin, I'd really be remiss if I didn't say thank you to the Warren County Library for having me and being the host and sponsor for tonight's event. And especially want to thank Laura Goldner for her contribution and all my back and forth with her. She was lovely to work with. So thank you, Laura. At this point, I'd like, if we could, Laura, to release the first poll. And this poll is a questionnaire. It helps us very much if you can answer these questions. Rutgers Cooperative Extension likes to know our audience. We like to serve you. We're here to serve you. We're public servants. So we would like to know a little bit about you, and knowing this demographic information helps us to better serve you. So if you would be so kind as to take a minute to answer the poll as I start talking, I'd really appreciate it. And I'm going to have some other interaction as we go. We're going to do some chatting. So it's a little interactive, because I said to Laura, the worst part of being in the screen of Zoom here is I don't get to see folks a lot, and I love that interaction. So I'm going to try to make it as interactive as we can. Got to get to my screen here. All right. So there's actually going to be 3 objectives to this presentation tonight. First, I'm going to give you some background information about sleep and discuss the benefits of a good night's sleep. And then I'm going to present some of the research about sleep. And then finally, I'm going to provide some tips to get a better sleep. So hopefully, if you're on the call, you're not struggling with sleep, but if you are, maybe some of those tips could be useful to you. Okay. Sorry, I have to, oops. Not cooperating with me. All right, I'm having a little tech difficulty here. I wonder what's going on here. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. All right, there we go. I said to Laura, if there's not a technical difficulty, then there's a problem. there's always some kind of technical difficulty. All right, so sleep has become more and more fleeting for Americans as stress and worry contribute to tossing and turning during the night hours. And according to a BMC public health research article by Liu et al., approximately 60 million Americans, that's a lot of folks, are affected by chronic sleep disorder and sleep problems. These can impair physical well-being and overall cognitive functioning. As you're going to hear me say a few times during the presentation, sleep disorders and chronic diseases such as diabetes, cardiovascular disease, obesity, depression, and anxiety do seem to have some type of correlation with sleep problems and disorders. However, the link between lack of sleep and these diseases is not yet proven. And that's due largely to the fact that it could be an underlying behavioral or hereditary factor of chronic disease. So for instance, it's kind of like what came first, that horse or the cart kind of thing, or the chicken or the egg, I guess. Was obesity caused by poor diet and lack of exercise, or maybe genetics, family genetics, or is it a result of poor sleeping? So the other side of that coin is the candidate not sleeping well due to the side effects of obesity? So, they're not really sure yet. The jury's still out on this studies, and they're continuing to determine if one is the result of one thing or vice versa. So there is some links there, but again, there's not real conclusive hard evidence. So I just wanted to share that with you, because I know that a lot of times there's conversations around the association, and there does seem to be an association, but they haven't proved, they can't tell which came first, like I said. So chronic insomnia is generally defined as difficulty initiating or maintaining sleep for a period longer than 3 weeks. Brief periods of sleep disturbances are most often likely from stress related or due to an acute illness or something like that. So if you're not sleeping for a briefer period of time than 3 weeks, you're having in and out kind of problems, it might be that you're not feeling well, or it could be stress related. So we'll talk a little bit more about that when we discuss how to get better night's sleep. No matter how you look at the science of sleep, I think we can all agree that a good night's sleep is just an awesome thing. It's great. So to start the discussion, I'd like for you to please type in the chat how you feel, use one word, after a good night's sleep. So go ahead and put that in the chat. Let me see if I can find the chat here. There it is. We got some coming in. Somebody says functional. I like that word to describe how you feel after a good night's sleep. Energized, revitalized. Somebody said shocked. I like, that's funny that you say that, because I can recall the first time one of my, after you have a baby and the baby sleeps through the night and you wake up and you go, oh my gosh, the baby, because you slept all night, you don't know what happened. So I understand that shocked. And I understand it as not a new mom, as an older mom, that, it is sometimes hard. So it is shocking and unfortunate that you're shocked. You feel renewed, refreshed, functional, tired, rested, invincible. Looks like all good words to describe that: refreshed, invigorated, happier. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about that. Ready to go, right? You could tackle the world. There's another: invincible. Yeah, it really does give you this great sense of kind of, feeling good, right? So sleep has that correlation. It really does make us feel good. So So just to give you, to frame the discussion here a little bit, I want to talk about sleep and how having a better understanding of maybe the sleep stages, because understanding things, I always feel like it's good to give an explanation or a history when I have a presentation, so people have an understanding of that. So to give you that understanding, the first thing to realize is that when we're on a schedule that's actually based upon the Earth's rotation. So just like animals, that live in the wild or other animals, our bodies receive a signal from the light and dark changes each day. And, during the day, it's telling us when we should be awake, and at night it's telling us when we should be asleep. So our body functions around these cues of light, and that's called the circadian rhythm. And we either enter sleep during these cues, and there's several stages of these cues. So the first stage is REM, R-E-M, which you probably heard of. It's commonly referred to when discussing sleep, and it refers to rapid eye movement. So during rapid eye movement, and I've heard that talked about a million times, but until I started to dive into this, I didn't really understand what was going on. So during rapid eye movement, we're asleep in the most restful sleep, and we dream. But other changes take effect to our bodies and minds. So for instance, our eyes move quickly. We can have fast and irregular breathing. Our heart rate increases possibly, and it can increase almost to like a walking level. Our body temperature changes, our blood pressure can increase, our brain increases oxygen, and the face and the limbs can twitch. So I always knew when my kids, my kids would say, oh, stay with me till I fall asleep. So you could tell they were falling asleep because you would see that twitching. So you would know it's safe to leave. REM can also cause temporary paralysis as the spinal cord ceases movement to the arms and legs. And it does that, our body does wonderful things, but it does that to protect us from acting out our dreams. So this is called paradoxical sleep. So sometimes people will act out their dreams. I know my husband, for instance, acts out his dreams sometimes. And one morning I woke up to a nice swift punch in the face because he was not in paradoxical sleep. He was dreaming that he was sliding into home plate face first. And I got a little knock in the jaw. I woke up to, what was that? So sometimes it doesn't work. I know sometimes with older people, it might not work and they might not go into that paradoxical sleep, but our body actually creates that to help us be safe so we don't act out our dreams. Despite all the changes that REM sleep causes in our body, it is beneficial for us. It can last 60 minutes and it's intermittent during the night. It supports learning and it supports memory. And it supports our mood. And I know somebody put in the chat that they felt happy, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about how sleep impacts our mood. So start thinking about that as we're going through. You can see why you might not feel yourself if you're lacking sleep in the REM part of sleep, because it's shown to affect the mood. So that could be if you're not getting enough of that really restful, rapid eye movement sleep, that could be why you're not feeling so great the next day. Despite all the changes that the non-REM, that's where I was. Non-REM is non-rapid eye movement. And this begins when a person has not yet started the rapid eye movement stage. So it usually lasts about 10 to 15 minutes and it occurs in stages throughout the night. So there's 4 stages of non-REM sleep. In the first one, people are awake, kind of in a light sleep, like that twilight you might be feeling, you're in and out. The second stage is a deeper sleep, and this is when the heart rate and the body temperature starts to fall. In the third and fourth stage, muscles begin to relax and the blood to the muscle increases. And this is really where the body starts to repair and grow tissue. So this too is an important phase of sleeping. This phase helps to replenish and store energy, and hormones are released. The unfortunate part is that as we get older, less non-REM sleep takes effect. So people usually under 30 get about 2 hours of non-REM or restorative sleep a night. And those who are over 30 might only get 30 minutes a night. So you can see where, age is a factor a lot of times with our sleep patterns. So now that you understand the difference between REM and non-REM sleep, let's talk about the benefits of a good night's sleep and what that means for you physically and emotionally. Write in the chat now how you feel when you don't sleep well, and we'll see what kind of words we're coming up with that. Let's see. Almost dizzy. I saw that pop across the screen as soon as I got in here. Hard to stay focused. Yep. Ditzy, miserable, on edge, irritable, and tired. Same. Me too. Hard to stay focused, deregulated, nervous, exhausted, and less patient. It's really hard to be patient when you haven't had a good night's sleep, isn't it? Miserable, on edge, irritable, and tired. Okay, nervous. Yeah. So a lot of the opposite of what we were seeing, edgy, lethargic, fatigued. Yeah, especially if you go a long period of time, that fatigued, that really all start to play in where you're just kind of really feeling blah. So yeah, those are words which are very different from the words that we were using to describe when we get a good night's sleep. So let's see here. We got, I think Paul is accidentally drawing on the screen there. All right, so Sleep's important. And I know when my children were younger, like I said, getting them to bed was really, really hard. But I realized the importance of it because of their mood the next day. So as some of you said, you feel it as an adult, and the children like are a perfect example because we kind of are unfortunately have to control our emotions a lot more than children, but you can really see it. And I'm sure you've had a hard time sleeping or staying asleep. You may recognize that that's affected your mood as well. So when a person doesn't get a good night's sleep, the effects can take physical and emotional tolls. For instance, a study published in the Annual Review of Clinical Psychology found a relationship between sleep and emotional brain function. So there's actually evidence of that, indicating sleep improves our emotional brain function. I know when I don't sleep, I sometimes feel sad or angry during the day, like some of you were saying. And if you're missing sleep during the night, it may be good for you to realize how you're feeling the day after, just to kind of check in. If it's a regular problem and it's affecting, really affecting you, you might want to check in with a doctor on it. And like I said before, I'm going to give you some ideas to help you get a better night's sleep at the end of the presentation, but do a little self check-in. People check in now on their exercise all the time and their diet. So it's smart to determine your sleep quality too, because that is a really important prospect of our overall health and wellness. As I mentioned, if you have a continual problem, check in with the doctor. And sometimes it's going to be hard to determine if, again, is the emotional mood due to lack of sleep, or is the emotional mood causing lack of sleep? So it's good to check in with a health professional on that. Sometimes if you're experiencing some depression or anxiety, that could cause lack of sleep. So that's why it's a good reason to check in with your doc. A good night's sleep can not only improve our mood, but it can make us more aware and support our memory function. So think about in terms of driving. If you're sleepy, you're not as aware if you haven't had a good night's sleep. So it's a little, it could cause some errors in your perception, and it could actually be unsafe. So it's important, that sleep, for us to get. Studies are being done on the relationship between chronic diseases like diabetes and heart disease, and they're linked to sleep or sleep deprivation. So these studies are not fully conclusive yet, although there is proposed link. And I know I've said that before, but I just want to make sure everybody understands it. It's always hard to determine if the chronic disease is caused by another factor, such as genetics or even a sedentary lifestyle or poor nutrition. An article in the Science Direct Sleep and Exercise, a reciprocal issue, indicated that a good night's sleep can assist with better workouts or physical productivity. And it further states that poor sleep can contribute to poor physical performance. On the other side of that coin too, is that if you do exercise, that could help you to sleep. So, they do show that a bad night's sleep might make it not as a high level workout as you're used to. It might make you lethargic. I think somebody said that. Or feel fatigued. So that could be a result if you're having a hard time with your workouts. Maybe you're not getting good sleep. So you want to check in on that and make sure you're getting your good night's sleep. A good night's sleep can help to balance sugar levels as well. We tend to crave sugary foods when we are tired, as our bodies are trying to seek that energy. So think about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you haven't had a meal since maybe noon, your body's kind of losing energy or fuel. And you start to reach for that sugary snack. I know that's my time when I eat it, but really want to eat it. But really, it's more of a need for energy. So if you find yourself like constantly craving sweets, maybe the sleep habit is what's causing that. But a good night's sleep can help to balance that sugar level. Since our bodies slow down when we're sleeping, our heart rate and breathing, kind of slows down during those sleep stages. And it's been shown that this gives our heart a little bit of a break. It's hard to pump, it's not working so hard to pump blood through our bodies. So a good night's sleep can help with that as well and kind of keep us on task there. So let me see if I can turn. Oh, there we go. There's an extensive amount of research on sleep, and when I mean a lot. So that scientific research is very medical, some of it. It provides a vast discussion on sleep and the studies on sleep. And I could go on and on. I could go on and on for days. But what I decided to do was try to think of things, when I have people ask me questions or when I'm having discussions, just everyday discussions, what people think about. So for this discussion, I tried to focus on and cover some of the things that I thought might be general audience questions. And what the research says on those. So I'm not covering so much stuff. So I've just picked a few of those. So as I mentioned, there's evidence-based science indicating that sleep can have an impact on our daily lives and activities, including our emotional and physical health. So to dive into how much sleep we actually need, which I figured would be a question that would pop up in the chat, there's not an exact amount of sleep recommended. However, adults do need about 7 to 9 hours per night. Babies sleep a lot more because they're growing and developing, and they could need like 16 to 18 hours per day. School-age children need about 9.5 hours per night. And again, they're growing and developing, but think about it, not as much as babies. And as we age, we sleep less, like I said, and that's sometimes it's due to certain medications, but usually after after age 60, sleep becomes shorter and more interrupted. We wake up more and even sleep a little bit lighter. And remember when we talked about back with the REM and the non-REM, so those types of sleep will vary a little. It's not really fully understood why we don't always remember our dreams, but I figured dreams might be another topic that comes up. Dreams help us process emotions. So people who have stress or anxiety are much more likely to have frightening dreams. And I really enjoyed reading that article because I have these really extreme vivid dreams. And I'm trying to now look at when I'm more balanced in my life and I'm achieving less stress and anxiety, what my dreams are like, just for my own reference to see, how that works. So I've been finding I'm a little bit more, I'm exercising more, I'm eating right, trying to keep the stress down, doing some meditation, and that's helped. And my dreams aren't so bonkers all over the place. Dreams are most vivid during the REM stage, but they can happen at other times during the sleep stage. Studies are being done to show the relationship between sleep deprivation and chronic disease. People who are chronically sleep deprived could be more likely to be overweight. They could have a stroke, cardiovascular disease, have more infections, and certain types of cancer. And that's according to the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Strokes. Again, still being studied, but the relationship between Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer's disease and sleep are being looked at. These diseases it's hard to tell if these diseases are caused by lack of sleep or if the diseases themselves cause the lack of sleep. So there's a lot of studies going on, again, in the area of sleep and how that can impact our overall health. So now that you've heard the research and a little bit about sleep, what do you think the biggest barriers you have to sleep are? What things, put another word in the chat, what things create a restless night or lack of sleep for you? So go ahead and put that in the chat and let's see. I bet we're going to have a lot of common answers again. Time. That's a good one. Yeah. Trying to find time for it. Anxiety. Yep. Worrying about, right. You can't sleep. So you worry about not sleeping. That's true. Full moon. Okay. Too many things to do. Tech or stress. You're worried. Jumping legs. Okay. An awful work schedule. Yeah. And that's really hard too. My son's dating a nurse and she's on the night shift, and that's really hard. And she tells me all the time, because again, remember that whole system where our body goes by the cues of the light and the darkness. So caffeine, yeah, the caffeine's a really big one. And we're going to talk about that in a second. You're worried. Work at the hospital. Yep. Fear of sleeping again. Personal worries and anxiety. I know I fall asleep and I wake up in the middle of the night and I just kind of try to will myself to back to sleep, and it just doesn't work. It almost makes it worse. All the things that need to be done. Yeah. Anxiety. Yeah. And the thing, again, like we talked about a little bit back, a few slides back, the more you anxiety and mood, it's like that repetitious cycle. Like, you want to sleep, but you're anxious. So then you wake up and you're more anxious because you didn't get a good night's sleep. So I'm with you. I understand. So it is exhaustion. Yeah. I have a son that he gets overtired and he can't sleep, and he's a stinker. So yeah, so they're all different reasons that maybe we're not sleeping. Somebody mentioned caffeine in there. So let's talk about getting a better night's sleep. We talked about what the sleep patterns are. We have talked about, what sleep can do for us, and how it works. But how do we actually get a good night's sleep? So there's no one formula, and these are just some suggestions that might help you. And I would definitely go through and try these. It might take some doing to get it to be effective, but it's important to try to do it because, as we said in the beginning, we're feeling better. So the first thing you want to do is maybe take some steps to go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time. So this can help with your internal clock. It will signal your body that it's time to sleep. And it may take a while, like I said, to be effective, but it does help. And I was having a really hard time sleeping. And I know I read some of the studies I read. One of them was about middle-aged women and their ability to sleep. And they showed that if the more they exercised, or not the more they exercise, the better the quality of exercise they got, or if they exercise, they were able to sleep better. So, taking a step to be there the night at the same time every night. I know it's hard. I know if you're working shift work, that's very difficult. But if you're working shift work, maybe try to, when you get home at a certain time, try to settle down, do something, warm bath or something to settle yourself in, and then have that same time of waking. So that same amount of hours if you can't have the same time. So the same time of sleeping, going to bed every night and waking up every day at the same time, that sets that pattern, and it is helpful. I myself have found it very helpful. I mentioned the exercise with the middle-aged women. It's very effective, and the recommendation for exercise for adults is 150 minutes minimum per week, and that should have an additional 2 days that include strength training of some sort. So you might want to consider not exercising 2 to 3 hours before bed if that makes you restless. But try to get that 20 to 30 minutes of exercise per day. It really can help you sleep better. So if you're someone that, I'm one of them, if I exercise in the evening too late, then I can't sleep. So, think about what type of exerciser you are, when it's best for you, and then try to undergo that so that, you're getting what you need in the range of sleep and exercise as well. So caffeine, somebody mentioned caffeine. Caffeine prevents a person from sleeping as well. And it's not just coffee, but sodas and energy drinks, especially if it's closer to bedtime. So you want to watch when you're drinking the caffeine, not too late in the day if you're finding that you can't sleep. Try not to use it 2 to 3 hours before bed, definitely, if you're not finding that helps. I know somebody I talked to is like, I have the morning coffee and then I can't have any more caffeine throughout the day. So it's going to be dependent on your lifestyle and who you are, but caffeine could definitely be impacting your sleep. It's a stimulant, so too much of it is going to keep you from settling down at night. So you might want to watch that caffeine or wean it down. Nicotine is also a stimulant. And when a smoker has a craving or urge to smoke, they're trying to feed that need for the addictive drug nicotine. So the need for nicotine creates a feeling of anxiety, like, you're upset. And when you have the cigarette, the person's really feeding the need for the nicotine. And it feels like they've let the anxiety go, but really they just fed the nicotine addiction. So if you use nicotine like cigarettes, cigars, or vapes, or even those pouches that are being advertised with nicotine in them now on TV, and you want to quit because they're going to be the things that could keep you up at night, there's free smoking centers, smoking cessation centers throughout the state of New Jersey. There's 11 located in the state of New Jersey. And we're really fortunate in New Jersey because we're one out of 2 states in the entire nation fortunate enough to have these free services. So to find more out about quitting, if you're using tobacco products and you would like to quit, you can go to tobaccofreenj.com/quit smoking. And you can find a quit center near you there, or you could get a hold of somebody on the quit line. And again, the craving for nicotine often wakes users during the night. So quitting can really help you to provide a better night's sleep for yourself. Then there's alcohol. So some people say that they sleep better when they consume alcohol, but in reality, this too can cause interrupted or unsound sleep. The reason sleep cannot be might not be as sound as we think is that when we consume alcohol, it's likely to interfere with some of those sleep stages. So a study published in the International Society of Addiction Journal showed that the amount of alcohol can have a varying effect on how and when sleep is likely to be distributed. So it can vary among the dependency levels. So if you're drinking a lot, it might really interrupt sleep. So it's going to be a couple factors there. You know, if it's a once in a while thing, then that might interrupt your sleep one night a week or something. But if you're, you know, consuming a lot of alcohol all the time, it definitely could have an effect on your sleep pattern. The dietary guidelines for Americans recommend that women consume only 1 drink per day and men 2 drinks a day. Sorry, ladies. Although alcohol is a depressant, it can really become a stimulant and it can act to suppress sleep. So it's best to make sure that you're not drinking too much and you're not drinking too close to bed to get a good night's sleep. During the day, you always want to take time to de-stress and relax yourself. So this might mean exercise or a hobby or something that you enjoy during the day. It could also mean meditation or breathing. So taking a break from all that you have going on, and believe me, I understand that, you know, it's a constant thing, but we had our annual conference last week and a colleague of mine was presenting on trying to find time for ourselves and being mindful. And one of the things she said was, what do they do when they're giving the announcements on the airplane? They say, if the oxygen mask falls, to put your mask on first and then assist others. So look at it that way. And that's what I keep saying to my husband. My new mantra all day long has been, put your oxygen mask on, Chris. So, you know, having that ability to say to yourself, you're allowed to do that and you're going to be better for doing it. Take that. It could be 10 minutes. It could be 5 minutes, whatever it is. Take that time and put your oxygen mask on so that you're better able to do what you need to do. It's going to serve you well in the long run. And that stress break or short-term break could really help to reduce stress in your life, maybe ease some of that anxiety, calm you down, and help you to turn off better. So everyone's really living under very different conditions you know, in these times. And some people are working from home and you have your office right there in your bedroom and there's nothing you can do about it because that's the only space you have. So if that's the scenario for you right now, then make sure that your office space where you're working in your room is kind of cleared up at night, straighten it up. So you're not laying in bed looking over at the pile of Post-it notes going, oh, I got to do this and I got to do that and I got to do this. So, you know, so try to clean up that area. Turn off your computer so that it's not dinging all night long, because I know that people send emails in the middle of the night. So you don't want to be awakened by that. And then you'll be thinking. And if you have your laptop with you, take it to another room so that that's not dinging, or turn it off. So with this limited opportunity to have space where we needed it for an office sometimes, make sure that that living condition is, you know, your bedroom area is clutter-free, it's nice and calming, you only sleep in that area. If you have to do work in that area, then try to, you know, again, break it apart so it's 2 separate areas. Unplugging yourself. Somebody said tech, and that's a big one for all of us, right? We're constantly plugged in, especially now working from home. Like, it's so easy to just continually work. So take time before you go to bed, whether that's an hour ahead, 45, whatever it is. Just like nicotine and alcohol, you need to remove yourself from technology. Try turning off your phone and your tech, even ones that you might think are relaxing you. They could, you know, that screen time, that light is keeping us up. Remember the, you know, the night and the day, that light could be keeping you up. So try turning it off, unplugging it. If you have technology, I sleep with my phone next to my bed. I don't recommend that. I have kids that are not living at home that might need me as my excuse, but I do like silence it. A lot of the phones will have a time that it turns off except for emergency contacts. So you could do that. I have a friend who her work companions knew that she was up a lot at 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. So they started texting her at that time and calling out and doing things like that. And I said, you need to set your phone so that even if you're awake, you're not getting your work text. So there's settings in your phone that you can actually go in there and put your phone on to sleep. If it was only that easy for us, right? Put your phone to sleep so that you're not getting text messages or things like that, except for the people you really might want to hear from, like your children, if they need you or whatever. So try unplugging. Don't eat a huge meal before you go to bed. When your belly, think of, you know, when your belly's really full, it could hurt your digestion, you know, to lay down, and you could be really just discomforted and uncomfortable. So try not to eat a big meal right before bed. Try to, you know, do that a little bit ahead of time. If you can't sleep, which I know is probably people are thinking right now, you're laying awake, that can be so frustrating. So it might be helpful to get up for a short period of time and try a new position, read a book, get a warm bath, do something different. Don't go get your phone and plug in. Remember, we're staying unplugged, but try to find something that's going to give you that variation and that change. So you're not just laying there in bed getting more and more annoyed with yourself. Okay. If you have long-term sleep issues, it's probably time to consult your doctor. As I said before, most people describe having some type of sleep issue during their lives, but talking to your doctor is important for your health if sleeplessness is persistent or interferes with your daily life. And then if you find your mind wandering, so I saw that in the chat too, and you're having a hard time falling asleep. So for instance, you're laying in bed and you're going, oh, I forgot to do that for work. And what are we going to have for dinner tomorrow night? And I wonder what my friend so-and-so thinks about this. So everything that from the day is kind of circulating up there in one big whirlwind. Try to do something that's going to relax you. So for instance, try that if you're practicing meditation or breathing, try doing some of the breathing. One of the things that I always suggested when I did counseling was to think of an object floating in the wind. So kind of like that counting sheep thing, which I find annoying. This could be something that's different than counting sheep. So think of something floating, like a leaf or a piece of paper, just kind of floating, and follow that piece of paper, that leaf, and let it float in and out of your thoughts, and let the wind lift it up and bring it down, and just kind of think of that floating. So it kind of makes you feel lighter and it gives you something to focus on. Now, I know myself that when I try to do something like that, those thoughts come crashing back into my head. So I just think about it, just like my phone, I swipe right. Let's get rid of it. Think about the thought and move it off to the side. So while you're thinking about that leaf floating in the air, and then it comes back in, what are we going to have for dinner last night? Swipe right. There goes back to the leaf. Okay. So it's all right that those thoughts enter, but you just want to keep kind of keeping that pace with the leaf until you doze off. Or if there's something that you like to do, if you like to paint, you can think about painting a picture in your mind. If you like interior design, think about redecorating an imaginary room or something like that. So think about things that you find soothing and try to make those work. So there are some keys to things that might be helpful for you. So I knew sleep aids would come up because I have friends that ask me about them too. And as I mentioned in the last slide, there are so many things that you can try, including consulting a doctor before a sleep aid. So sleep aids are out on the market. Things like melatonin or sleeping pills, many times they advertise them as all natural. And my response to that is poison ivy is all natural. So before you take anything, you definitely want to try every other method than trying to take something. You definitely want to check with the doctor. You don't know how something even over the counter might interfere with something else you're taking. And the studies on these things like melatonin your body produces naturally. So there's not been conclusive studies done that shows that they're effective. So you might just be wasting your money. So try the other methods first, check with the doctor if it's consistently, and I know doctors probably get all the time, I'm not sleeping, I'm fatigued, I'm tired. It's kind of the society we live in. So you need to try those other methods. I exercise, I'm a middle-aged woman, and I got to say, I sleep like a baby, but I exercise every day, because if I don't get some exercise, not only am I crabby, as my husband calls it, but I'm also don't sleep well. And it's a big cycle. So I found that I enjoy it much more if I can try to find that little bit of time for exercise every day. And I know people say they don't have time for it. But how much time do you spend on your phone every day, watching TV or doing other things? So try to, even if it's 15 to 20 minutes a day, it could really help your sleep. So try to fit those in and try to avoid sleep aids. So I'm going to put in the chat right now. Let me see if I can view it to everyone. There we go. I'm going to just put a link in the chat here. And if you would be so kind to go onto that link, you can kind of pull it up, click on it, pull it up now, save it for later. Or if you want to use the QRL and scan that in with your phone, you could also do the questionnaire there. This is a questionnaire that gives feedback on the presentation. And it helps me to know what was productive and good for you that you found interesting. I love to hear the comments. When people, I always enjoy reading the evaluation, that people found this, that, and the other thing interesting, or I'm going to try this. So I think that if you could go ahead and put that in the chat, or do that evaluation for me, I'd really, really appreciate it. These are my references. And like I said, there's a lot of information out there on sleep. So I hope that you will have enjoyed it and you will have sweet dreams in conclusion. Let me see. Our mood, some disease prevention can help with sleep, but there's a lot of good reasons to get a good night's sleep. And I think we all really know them, but using those techniques that work for us as an individual could really help. So I hope that some of the things we did, you'll find very useful, and it'll help you to be able to sleep. And if we have that second poll at this time, Laura, could you release that for me? And if anybody has questions that you want to put in the chat, I can try to answer those. And if I can't answer you, then, or if you think of a question, hopefully not while you're trying to fall asleep tonight, but if you think of a question, this is my contact information. So you can see I have my email address up there, the website for the Cape May County RCE program, and also the FCHS website for the entire state. There's also the Rutgers Cooperative Extension website, which has a lot of resources. My Facebook, if you'd like to follow me, is there. And then there's an FCHS Cape May County Facebook as well, if you would like to follow there. And then, as I mentioned, Sherry's right there in your neck of the woods in Warren County. And this is Sherry's information. So she has her office phone there, her Facebook page, and her website, as well as her email. And there's also the FCHS at county.warren.nj.us. You can sign up to be on her email list and see all the great programs that she's putting on. And Sherry does a wonderful job giving all kinds of great health information out. So I'm sure that you would really enjoy some of her programs. So I hope that you will join her. And I thank her very, very much for letting me come to Warren County virtually. And let's see here. Let me see if I get the chat back. Move this around. Let's see if we have any questions. So yeah, you wake up, somebody asked the question, I get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. I do the same thing. So one of the things, I drink a lot of water during the day, but one of the things I try to do is not drink really late at night, or just maybe a little bit, so that I don't get up in the middle of the night, because that is so annoying to me. And I'll like lay there and say, no, I don't have to go. No, I don't have to go. And then I'm more awake. So, if you can maybe not, just like the eating, maybe not drink closer to bed, that maybe that'll help. Do animals suffer from insomnia? I don't know. I know my dog does not. He's constantly sleeping. So I don't know. Yeah, somebody said sleep aids are not regulated. That's right. So you want to be really careful. And I hesitated to put the sleep aids in there. I really don't want to put them in there. But I want to stress that they are not regulated, and that they could be doing more harm than good. So you really want to try the other things more so. So I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to the animals suffering from insomnia, but I'm sure, maybe if they're not getting exercises, cats don't, yeah, they should be studied. Yeah, we should find out why cats sleep so much. I like that. Yeah, drifting off and waking up, and then it takes like 3 hours to get back to sleep. Again, maybe you need to change what you're doing with this. Maybe you have to get up and read a book. I could give you some studies to read for me. No, I'm just kidding. Some really boring stuff. Yeah, maybe try to get up and just change your position or something like that. I was one too that would get up and after like an hour or so not be able to get to sleep. And I have been really trying to watch my exercise patterns alongside of my diet. And I've been finding that it's a little less of doing that if I get my exercise. And again, everybody's different. That might not work for you. But if you can try to increase part of your exercise regimen or something like that, that may be helpful. What about naps during the day or the evening? So again, that's an individual thing. Some people, sleep in small amounts. And if you're getting rest out of sleeping and it makes you feel better, then maybe that's something that you try. But other people that might not work for, because it might detract from their sleep at night. So that could be harmful to them. So again, it's something, everybody's individual. So try that out. Oh, so somebody said walking through the house or building of any kind, it helps me fall asleep. Often I get through many rooms. I hear you. So this week I'm redesigning my basement. I don't know what I'm doing. It's cinder blocks, but I'm making pretend that I'm making a room there. So again, if that makes you fall asleep in building or designing or whatever, find that thing that makes you concentrate just on that. And that could really help you relax. So somebody says they wake up at 3:15 and they can't get back to sleep. I don't know what that is. And I do the same things. There's certain times a day, like I'm like, oh my gosh, this week I've been up every day at 12:45 or whatever it is. I don't know. Maybe the neighbor comes home at that time or something like that. I'm not really sure. But again, look at your caffeine intake, all the different things that I listed out, and see if that somehow that can be helpful. Do something until you become sleepy, and then you never felt sleepy. So then what? Yeah. That's a really difficult one. I like sometimes if I'm feeling really anxious to take a warm bath before bed because it relaxes me. Maybe try the breathing. You know, if you can find, there's apps out there, you don't have to pay for them, that will teach you like kind of meditated guided breathing. I've been using them. I've been trying to practice it more. Sometimes it's that gradual breathing, that so you're taking 3 breaths in and then 1 breath out. So it just kind of calms you down. So it's hard, and it's hard to be effective. Somebody asked about weighted blankets. I don't really know about weighted blankets, and I'm going to wager that there's probably not a lot of research out there about them, but I could look into it for sure. And I will actually, because it might come up when I do this talk again. I think that they're probably pretty new, so there might not be a lot of research behind them, but that's just my guess. I don't have the correct answer. Somebody said journaling is helpful. So finding time, something boring to get back to sleep, right? The other thing that's really nice about journaling is trying to find things to be grateful about. So if you jot down like why you're grateful, then that could be really helpful too. Because it'll give you a sense of assurance and give you that ability to be maybe less anxious. Cognitive behavior therapy for insomnia on YouTube. Okay, I've not seen that, but I don't know a lot about that either with the weighted blankets. Keep a notebook and pen. Somebody suggests that when something makes me feel anxious, I write it down and let it go, right? That swipe right, get rid of it. Somebody said ASMR. I'm not sure what that is. Somebody said the weighted blanket hurts my hips. I can understand that. Yeah, I don't get the correlation there, but Carol looks like she might have her hand up. I don't know. Do you want to, Carol, did you want to say something? Do you want to unmute? I think somebody else had their hand up. Just going through the list here to see. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not sure about those weighted blankets. It's, you know, and a lot of times there's a lot of fads and things like that that come up. So it might be something that's here today, gone tomorrow. We'll all be selling weighted blankets in a few years. I don't know. There you go. Carol, did you want to talk on? You're on mute still.
I bought a weighted blanket because I suffer chronic insomnia and it felt like I was sleeping in a straitjacket.
Yeah. I can understand that.
I woke up at 3 o'clock like I do. I sleep about an hour and a half and wake up, and then I couldn't get out of it.
Oh no, that was probably stressful.
It was like living a nightmare.
Oh dear, that doesn't sound beneficial. That sounds counter.
Right back. It went right.
I bet. Yeah, that doesn't sound like it's helpful. Yeah. And you know, the other thing I wanted to mention, you're talking about the weighted blankets, but I have my wearable.
Oh yeah.
And my husband, I tried to sleep with mine on to like kind of give me that idea of like when the REM and the non-REM. Yep. I can't sleep with it on because the light goes off and then the light wakes me up. So you have to monitor those things. Like sometimes it seems silly, but you know, there's things, they sound great, but yeah.
Just even the little ones can keep you awake. You just never know.
Somebody suggested sleeping with less lighter clothing, even when it's cooler in the house, helps. So if that's what helps you, some people like to be snuggly and some people do not. So, if you find it to be cooler, and I sleep with a fan on, because that helps me. So that airflow. So you have to kind of like, just be aware of things like Carol was saying, that weighted blanket was a little too much, but be aware of those things. Somebody says count backwards from 100. It takes enough concentration to keep away from nagging thoughts, right? Again, get those thoughts out. White noise.
I was just wondering, what is ASMT? Did anybody answer?
I don't know. I didn't see the answer to that, Carol. Let me go back up here. Yeah, I don't see it. Yeah, ASMR.
Someone just put in the chat, it's autonomous sensory meridian response. I still don't know what that is, but apparently there are YouTube videos.
Oh yeah, I don't know either. I'd have to look through for research on that to give you a for sure answer. And somebody asked, how important is it to make your bedroom as dark as possible? That again is a personal issue, whether or not you want to have it dark. If it helps you to sleep, that's fine. And some people like a little bit of light. I know my daughter-in-law says she likes the light at our house when they stay here because it gives her that signal to wake up. So, it's going to depend on you and your personal preferences there. So does anybody, let's see. All right, does anybody have any other questions? Thank you. Somebody said thank you. Thank you. I appreciate all of you coming tonight. Oh, somebody whispers a long story. The sound can be soothing. Okay. Yeah. And again, like that's kind of a personal preference. I tried one night to listen to a meditation and it was water. And that made me have to get up and go to the bathroom. So, so it's a personal preference of what you do and you don't like, you got to kind of figure those things out. And try it. If it doesn't work for you, swipe it right, get rid of it and try something new. Okay. You thought it was weird at first. Yeah, sometimes people think it's weird and then you kind of get into it and you have to do it for a little longer. Again, takes a while for some of these things to become effective. And somebody says using the television to fall asleep, that again is a preference. I know some people can't fall asleep without it, but that light is on. Again, that's a light. So it's going to be a preference. And if you're feeling like you're not sleeping and you're going to sleep with the TV on all the time, maybe you need to say, okay, I'm going to turn the TV off. I think somebody's feeling sleepy. I like that. Listen to audiobooks or podcasts. That's a good idea to help lull me to sleep. Audiobooks. Yep. Thank you. Yes. Thank you all. Everybody's saying thank you. So thank you all. I really appreciate it. All right. Have a good night. And it was great to virtually see you all. Be safe and please be well. Try to get a good night's sleep. It helps you to feel better too, especially in all these times.